Okay, so here's your assignment 4. This is the start of what will become a game that you can actually play. But for right now, we'll start with just the basics. And that is, I want you to get to the point that you can build up the way a character might play or the rules that govern the behavior. And so you'll see in a document, a PDF in the instructions within Memur that shows you all the details about what you're creating. This is a different assignment in many ways because this time I've created the main method for you, and what you're going to do is create some methods. So I've created the main method, and I've also created another method called let dog eat. And then you're going to create the rest of the methods that exist. Any food left, find first bowl, find first big bowl, let fast dog eat, let slow dog eat, no food left, and output bowls. So everything happens, all of those methods are called from within the main method. And you'll see here that I've already created that, and I've added comments within it. And I've even shown you what a Java doc might look like for a main method. So this is, I call up a scanner. I'm going to read in the name of a player. In this case, we're going to have two players, a slow dog and a fast dog. And the way this game works is we have these two dogs, and they operate under very specific behaviors. We're going to set out bowls of food in front of these dogs, and the slow dog, when it's his turn to play, and that means eat, he's going to always choose the first bowl that has any food in it. And by first, we're going to capture these bowls as an array of integers, and each of the bowls is going to represent one element in the integer array. And if we have 4 bowls, that means there's 4 integers that we're going to keep. And each of the integers represents the number of servings per bowl. So if I had 3 bowls, respectively with 1, 2, and 3 servings of food in them, then we would have an integer array containing 1, 2, and 3. And so the slow dog is always going to take the first bowl, the lowest index within that array, and eat it. And he's just going to eat 1 serving because he's slow. Our fast dog, which is a different type of player, is going to scan all the food bowls, look for the bowl that has the most food, and eat it. So you say, well, what happens if I have 2 bowls that have the same amount of food? He's still efficient. So he's going to want to find the first big bowl and eat from it. Finally, we have to put all of this together. So the way that the program runs, and I've put some output in here in case you want to run it on IntelliJ, but just make sure that when you put it back you remove that output enter name of slow dog. That will ruin things, but that's in case you want to play with it. So it expects the output as input the name of a slow dog, the name of the fast dog, the number of bowls of food, and this is all given to you within Memur, within the test cases that I run. And then for each of the elements, each of the bowls, you're going to get a serving size. So if the number of bowls is 3, then it expects to receive 3 integers representing the servings per bowl. So 3, 2, and 1, or whatever the case may be. So it reads that in within these lines. It creates an integer array, and it reads in as input the number of servings per bowl. This is just what the main method is doing. You don't have to you should not touch this for it to pass the test. Okay, so then it starts calling on things. It's going to output the starting state of the game, and you'll see what that looks like. So it's going to output each of the details of the number of servings left in every bowl. This is what output bowls does. There's a description document as well. Then it's going to loop through. As long as there's food left to eat, it allows the players, the slow dog and the fast dog, starting with the slow dog, to take a turn. And so on their turn, the slow dog will eat as he does, finding that first bowl that has any food and eating 1 serving. The fast dog will eat as they do, which is finding the biggest bowl, the first biggest bowl, and eating from it. And so this is in a method that I've already created. So let dog eat. But you're going to have to add those details of how the fast dog eats and how the slow dog eats, and we'll see what that looks like below. So you should read through the rest of this. Essentially, this is changing players. You don't have to change any of this. Or, as I said, when you're working within a group, as long as the person that's responsible for that part does the right thing, you don't even have to understand what I'm doing. All you have to do is set up the methods as they've been described in your assignment. So once there's no food left, we see what happens. So I'll show you that's the main method. There's one method that I've created, which is let dog eat. In fact, we can open this up. A fun trick within IntelliJ, if you use it, is that you can actually open and close different pieces of it. So I can, for instance, close that static method. But we'll open it up for now so we can see what it is. And that is let dog eat allows the dog to eat based on the preferred eating style. So the slow dog will eat only one serving from the first lowest index available bowl. Fast dog will scan the bowls to find the one that has the most. And will eat from the first lowest index big bowl that he finds. So a good point in all of this is that all of the method signatures, so this top line here, is all set for you. So you can modify the names of variables, but for the most part, it's ready to go. I'm not going to show you what follows below because that's the solution. However, what I will do is show you that right around line 155, you'll see something, it might be a little bit different in Memer. You'll see a big box that says your work starts here. Do not change anything above those lines because that's already been taken care of for you. All your necessary work goes below. So let's pull this up and then run it. So as I mentioned, it is expecting us to it's expecting to receive as input a few things. So it's going to get the name of a slow dog, which we'll put in as Pokey. It's going to get the name of a fast dog, which I'll call Speedy. And it's going to get the number of food bowls that we're going to set out for them to play with, to eat from. So 3. And we'll say that the first bowl has 2 servings of food, the second bowl has 3, and the third bowl also has, say, 2 servings of food. And then as soon as I hit enter, the game begins. If you've set everything up correctly, then you'll find that it plays out as you might expect. So output bowls is what is going to output this information here. So it's going to list out, that method will list out the details of the bowls. So we see it output start of game, which comes from the main method. And then this is the starting state. So we start with bowls having, bowl 1 has 2 servings, bowl 2 has 3 servings, and bowl 3 has 2 servings. Then the slow dog gets to eat. After Pokey eats, first of all, there is food to eat, so he can eat. He just eats that first, he finds that first bowl has food in it, so he eats from it, and that brings it down to 1 serving in bowl 1. Speedy, the fast dog, looks through the bowls. We see what's left after Pokey's done eating, and he's hungry. Speedy's a fast dog, so he finds the biggest bowl, that bowl 2, and he eats all of it. So after Speedy eats, bowl 2 is now empty. Pokey's very slow, so he just takes the first food that he's able to find, and after Pokey eats, we can see that bowl 1 is brought down to 0. On Speedy's turn, he eats everything left in bowl 3, and oh no, after Pokey eats, there was no food for Pokey. So sorry, Pokey, you lose. Okay, so what we have here is just an example of how it would play out. Now, I could run it again and try something else. One of the things that's important is I'll just call them Pokey and Speedy again so we can remember who's who. but I didn't tell you how many bowls there would be. You're receiving that as input. And so you're going to be working with an integer array that represents the number of bowls, and that could be any size. So you just have to keep that in mind. So for instance, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0, it's okay to have 0 servings. We'll see start of game, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0. Pokey eats from that first bowl, brings it down to 0 servings in bowl 1. Speedy, on the other hand, is going to look for the biggest bowl. So he went for bowl 3 because there were 2 servings after Pokey ate. And then it's time for, so that's here, it's Pokey's turn. He's going to eat from the first bowl that he finds any food in, which is bowl 4. And there's no food left for Speedy. Sorry, Speedy, you lose. And so that's an example of what it looks like. So let's just take a quick look at what we can see when we're running it. And we'll see that there's different types of tests. So the first piece is this. We see that we don't have anything after this except for a method signature. So all of our methods exist. They just, and we can see the type of the return type that it's expecting. We can see that it's taking in arguments and the type of arguments that it's expecting, and the parameter variable is already set. One thing you'll notice is that the parameter variable names are terrible. I used X for everything, so you might want to consider changing that. There's also no comments prior to the method. So up here you'll see that I've put in all sorts of comments to describe the parameter variables that I'm using, what the letDogEat method does. And so this is a good chance for you to add those comments and make sure that you explain to us what you're doing with that method. And that's all described within your instructions. So you've got a good starting point. Within your instructions, you'll see that the functionality is worth 70 points, code clarity, explaining to us what you're doing so we understand it, is 20 points, and code quality is 10. So each of the methods is described within here, and we want it to do essentially what it says. So that should get you off and running. The last piece is what you'll see is that we have these weird tests over here. Tests 0 through 5, they're like normal. When you run it, it will pass or fail accordingly, and they all fail to begin with, which is fine. But these can pass before the whole thing runs. And so any food left, once you get that method working, even despite the fact that nothing else is working, this method should pass. This test should pass. And when you get first big bowl method running, this will pass. And so you can start seeing that you're making progress as soon as you get this piece done. There are 2 other methods that aren't in this list, and they're mostly handling output. So you'll know when they're running because they'll be producing some output for you. So that's no food left, and output bowls, they return void. All they do is they share some information to the user. So that's it. That's assignment 4. I'm sure we'll talk more about it next week, but I wanted to give you enough to get off and running. It's not a very long assignment, but of course it's good to get started early so you can get more support from us should you need it. Good luck.